In the decade ending in 2010, Oklahoma's Hispanic population nearly doubled and is now the largest minority group in the state. They also represent a driving force in the state's economy, owning more than 7,000 businesses with an economic impact in the billions. So no wonder talk of strict immigration laws has faded, and politicians are now wooing Latinos to try and win their vote in November.
Martin Ramirez could be the poster boy for young Latinos in Oklahoma. After earning a degree in political science, he went to work on several campaigns, most recently with Congressman James Langford. Now Ramirez describes himself as a recovering political activist who favors a career as an entrepreneur.
I wanted something a little more. I wanted something that would challenge myself, and I'm easily bored. So I wanted something that was challenging and risky, and I wanted something that eventually I could have a little more freedom with life.
Ramirez launched his own marketing company and went to work using social networking as a way to bring new business to his customers. As far as politics is concerned, Ramirez says he is a Republican, but admits most Oklahoma Hispanics will probably go with the incumbent in the White House this November.
I think 30%, maybe 20% will support a Romney candidate, and the rest will support Obama.
Ed Romo with LULAC, the League of United Latin American Citizens, agrees that President Obama will likely get the large majority of Latino votes this November, even though he didn't deliver on his promise of immigration reform.
Could have, should have, would have done some things that he promised, yet he failed. Now, I think the Latino community, God bless them, are giving him a pass on this one because they understood that there were some priorities like the economy that need to be fixed.
With a population that already outnumbers all other minority groups in Oklahoma, Latino voters are a hot commodity for politicians who need their votes to win in November. Romo says while Latinos have not felt much love from Oklahoma Republicans, they haven't felt much love from the Democrats either.
We have heard the worst kind of language for the longest time coming out of the Capitol Hill here in Oklahoma. And I think they're not going to be as motivated to care as much about who they elect because the Democrats here in Oklahoma have also not shown sufficient courage.
There are now an estimated 21.7 million registered Latino voters in America. In Oklahoma, Hispanic voters make up about 3.3% of registered voters. Marvin Lizama is a Tulsa civil rights attorney and president of the American Dream Coalition.
The Hispanic community finds itself in a very interesting position because their vote highly sought by both parties, nationally and particularly. There's a lot of money being spent in Hispanic media and Hispanic markets to get them to go and vote one way or the other.
In 2008, more than 65% of Hispanic voters cast ballots for Barack Obama for president. And while immigration remains a big issue for Latinos this election cycle, Lizama says other issues are also on their minds.
Affected greatly by whatever happens in the economy or in the housing market. For Hispanics, it's no different. So, for instance, I will attend a conference in July, and one of the main focuses of the conference is going to be on healthcare reform.
Oklahoma City immigration attorney Michael Brooks Jimenez sees the changing political winds for Latino voters as based largely on economics. Jimenez says the defeat of anti-immigrant bills during recent legislative sessions was more of a business decision on the part of legislative leaders. He says anti-immigration laws are not good for business, and the Latino voting bloc backs that up.
It's a very, very young community. That the number of vote, I think it's 38%. Of all the Latinos in the United States, they're not eligible to vote, not because they're not citizens, but because they're not old enough.
Marvin Lizama's American Dream Coalition works to get minorities registered to vote, informed on how the system works, and then mobilized to get to the polls on Election Day. He has no doubt that economics is changing Oklahoma's political landscape.
There's over 7,300 different Hispanic-owned businesses in the state. The Hispanic buying power, according to the figures that I have from 2010, is $6.2 billion. That's the purchasing power of Hispanics in Oklahoma.
And Ed Romo says with that kind of economic clout, politicians have come to realize passing laws that are anti-immigrant actually harms the economy And that's not a smart thing to do for any politician.
You would be crazy if you start that rhetoric all over again and just unravel the fabric. That's what our economy is based on now. It's growing that way.
Ramirez, Jimenez, Romo, and Lezama all agree. For young Latino voters, the issues of citizenship and education are at the top of their list.
The people that tend to come to me and express their feelings of being disenfranchised typically tend to be the people who came as little kids. Their parents brought them when they were 2 or 3 years old, that they went to school here. They typically speak more English than they speak Spanish.
They want the DREAM Act because they're children of undocumented immigrant parents. To no fault of their own, they're here. This is their country. This is their city. This is their place to grow and develop and contribute and participate. But there's a little technicality. They're not citizens. So they're trying to pay their dues for their parents.
Would seem like the conservative alternative would be some sort of market-based alternative, but it's kind of seemed into more this restrictive, isolationist immigration position, which is rather disheartening, I think, for most Latino Republicans.
And it's important for the community at large that these new citizens engage and vote, because it says not only are we here to get into the American dream and get a nice job and have a nice paycheck and live our lives, but we're also engaged, we're knowledgeable, we are informed, and we want to participate in democracy.
Voter registration drives are going on every week in Oklahoma metropolitan areas, but in rural Oklahoma there appears to be little organization. Attorney Lezama says the American Dream Coalition and LULAC recognize that and are getting to work on the problem now.
In the Panhandle and the southwestern, southeastern corners of the state, where some of these people are basically left without any information, without any details, and unless they take it upon themselves to find out how to register to vote and how to get involved and how to participate, they go on with their daily lives and don't become part of the system.
Who Latino voters will vote for at the national level appears clear already, but local and state politics is another matter, especially since legislative districts with large Hispanic populations have been electing lawmakers that are among the most strident in their views of illegal immigration and states' rights to do something about it. He suspects with time that will change.
The immediate gratification of being able to get their names on the front page of the newspaper and be on TV, on an issue that's very popular right now, but as time goes on, that's going to have political consequences, I think.
The primary election is June 26th, the general election November 6th.
In a move certain to appeal to Latino voters, the Obama administration has announced it will stop deporting younger illegal immigrants who came to the U.S. as children and have been abiding by the law, partially achieving the goals of the DREAM Act. OETA will have live coverage of the primary election from 7 to 10 p.m. on June 26th.